Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Saturday, January 18th. So, what are we going to talk about today? I'll give you a quick update on how my echo went and talking with the doctor. It's not going to take that long. And then I want to talk about, this is strictly having some fun. But you never know. It may be you in this position. So, and that is, what should you do if you're looking at buying out a small engine repair shop that is existing and existed there for years? And there's a lot of variables, but we'll cover them. So let's have some fun. Stay tight. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekend. It's been a rough week, so I thought we'd do some fun things this weekend today on buying out a existing business from a sole proprietor, what have you. But the doctor update was my heart function has gone from right around 30 to just under 35. So it's still going up. Not as much as I wanted it to. I was hoping to get rid of the vest, but they're saying no. The vest stays at least for another 6 to 8 weeks. So it is what it is, right? Suck it up, buttercup. But I got my driving privileges back to a certain extent. I can drive into town now, which is like 9-10 miles, but they don't want me going long miles. So I still took it away as a win-win because I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing and I am getting healthier. So that's a plus, right? They can't fix this. This is either going to mend on its own or I'll put up with it because hell, it's a lot better to be upright and standing than laying flat, right? And I count my blessings every day that I'm still standing upright. I get frustrated at times, but so do you. And as the group on Facebook, as part of my friends list, said, I said, sorry about ranting. And they said, it's not ranting, it's venting. You need to vent. Everybody's been good. You guys have been good. Everybody. I can't thank everybody enough. All right, so now let's have some fun. What goes into looking at buying a pre-existing building, a pre-existing business? Because there's a lot of variables, right? You could be buying the building with the contents, the inventory, so that you just take over and start running it. Running it, right? That's one way. The other way is you're buying the location, but the inventory is going to be sold, maybe auction, what have you. And you're going to start up a business there. There's two. The third one is you're buying the building with the contents and retaining the owner for a year. I know you're going to say, well, that's just one extra mouth to feed. Yeah. But if you've never run a retail repair location, you want to, I would retain the owner for a short period of time anyways. Minimum 3 months. But I would rather do it for a full year. Even if I didn't take a dime from the business, that would be okay. Because just the valuable education you're going to learn in that year is worth 100,000. But before you do all that, there's a lot of things that go into it, right? Here are some of the things that I'm thinking off the top of my head. Is one, I want to see financials. A lot of owners don't like to show you that, but if you're buying an existing business with the building, or even just the existing business, if they're trying to sell you the name of the business, asking to sit down with their financials is not a bad thing. They don't have to, but you don't have to buy their business either. If you sit down and look at their existing financials and find out that that business is in the red the past 3 years, you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it as that don't look good, because it's usually a precursor to what's going to continue to happen, right? Or you're going to look at it and say, look, I'm the variable. Now that I'm in, we're going to make boatloads of money. That ain't going to happen either. See, we're having fun, but I'm making sure to pop your bubble so that you can enjoy having fun with it. And this is group participation, folks. If you have something to say in the comments, that I'm missing, please do. But I want to see their financials. I want to retain the owner. A minimum of 3 months, more like 6 months. If I'm looking at buying the inventory, does the inventory have value? All inventory has value, but the value I'm looking at, is it current? Is it something that I can sell through the business that we're still doing? Because a lot of your older shops, and mine is no different, is I have a lot of old stock. New old stock that you're probably not going to encounter fixing on stuff anymore. And it's even worse now that every 4 years, it seems like every fourth year, that they discontinue everything, from the parts to repair the equipment. Some dealers that I know are trying to stock up on stuff that they know that they'll use more in the future if the manufacturer quits making it. And that's an individual decision. I don't like the idea of getting heavily ladled with inventory if you owe money on it. So that would be my next thing is the inventory current? Stuff I'm going to use, or is it new old stock? What's the value on it? Now, I have friends that buy up new old stock. And when I say buy up, they sell on eBay and Amazon the hard to find carburetor kits and cables and this and that. That's their forte. And they've done very well at it. But they're well versed in that area. I have a friend that does just home light. But you could ask him anything about anything home light, and he knows. You guys must know one of those guys, and maybe you're one of those guys that knows everything about it. And if you're in that position on eBay and Amazon, and you've got that reputation of knowing exactly what you have and what it fits, people will buy your stuff. Won't even think twice, even if it's priced higher than the original price tag on it. And a lot of new old stock is priced higher than what it actually was selling for back when it was current stock. So you need to be the resident expert if you're going to sell on eBay and Amazon. If you're buying somebody's new old stock and you're first starting out, I would tell you don't. Don't, unless they're trying to give it to you with the building because they don't want to deal with it. Because it's hard to get it unloaded. to get rid of it. It's just going to take up real estate where current stuff could be. And just the time it takes to do all the listings and everything else, a lot of times it's just plain not worth it, right? So unless it's current or it's giveaway price, my next thing is location. Is it located in a good area that is affluent, that they have the median income is higher? Why is that important? Because if you're in that area, people, even on hard times, will not quit coming to you. You're going to have a steady slew of customers, all right? Where if you're in an area like mine, this, middle class, lower middle class, when things get tight, they pull back and they do their own. I get it. And I've done it for years I get it. Even when my own son starts doing his own stuff, I get it. So location has got to be high on the list. And that's going to go back to if he or she or they allow you to look at the financials. Now, the financials are no guarantee that you're going to make that money. Let me just say that again. Just because they show you the last 3 financials and it shows as a plus profit does not guarantee you the same results. Neither does in the red guarantee that result. You're the variable. How well you talk to people, how much of a go-getter you are trying to get business into the shop, how fast you are getting stuff in and out of the shop. There's a lot of things that go into it. And as I said on another video, that if a customer likes you, trusts you, they will keep coming back to you. If you do something to lose their trust, then the only reason they're going to be there is because it's cheap. And you don't want to come off as being the cheap repair shop in town. Being cheap doesn't mean that you have a $60 an hour, hourly wage versus $100 to $120. No. Cheap is, toggling things up and not doing the correct repairs. The other thing is zoning. Is it where you could have a boneyard? Is there a boneyard already there? And if they're trying to add to the price the contents that's in the boneyard, I wouldn't pay over scrap price. Honest to God. Not unless it's a big warehouse behind the shop and all your good John Deere decks are on shelving, up through, and your engines, and they're all marked, and that's one thing. But like my backyard of having almost 200 riding lawnmowers, I don't even want to go into how many weed eaters, push mowers, you name it, were up there. It's scrap metal. We steal the parts off it for just so long, and then I get pissed at looking at it. It's an eyesore. And I hire a guy, comes in with an excavator and big dumpsters, cleans it all up, splits it 50-50 with me. I'm happy with that. Thank you, ma'am. Puts extra money in the coffers. All right, so what do we want to look at when it comes to buying a business? A pre-existing business. Well, we want one that has a good location, that if I'm buying the property, it has a reasonable price on it, and you can find out what houses or shops, or other retail business places have sold for in the past. Hey, now if you're in an area where real estate's hot, hey, then it's going to be hard to try to get them down on their price on the real estate. Because I've seen houses go for above asking, properties go for above asking. So you need to do your homework. And I would go ask a realtor. You're not signing any contracts. Don't let them get you to sign any contracts. Just ask them, has anything sold similar to that recently? And if so, how much? But you got to be careful, because if that realtor finds out that the older couple is looking to sell out, they will undercut you and go directly to the older couple and try to get them to sign on the dotted line exclusive, which jumps the price up. And they will tell the owners, oh, you need to add another $30,000 to the price tag. You're selling it too cheap. I've seen that happen to other businesses. And the sad thing is, the owners that signed on to that exclusive still owned the property until the exclusive ran off. So they were stuck there another 3 to 4 years. In real estate, you should never sign an exclusive. If that realtor is worth their weight in gold, they'll have that thing sold quicker than. If not, they can make all the promises in the world, but once they have you an exclusive, you won't hear a peep out of them. But if you happen to sell it, you still have to pay their commission. Yep. So you need to know the property values in the area. Owner financing. Is that an option? An owner may want to do it that way. And why is that? Because the sale of that building is not going to go into another building. So they're going to have to declare capital gains on that, right? Which is 28%, I think. So instead of taking it all in one lump sum in that year, you're spreading it out over 5, 6, 7 years, right? And they're paying less in capital gains. They've got more monthly income coming in. It's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for everyone until you can't make that payment. But like with buying real estate up this way, I buy vacant land most of the time. And banks won't go with you. So owner financing is about the only way you can do it. With the last property that I picked up, I ended up putting $20,000 down. And the owner carried the remaining 30. And it was to be paid off in 5 years. I paid it off in 3.5. They want you to go the full 5 years so they don't have to realize capital gains. But if I can give them a few extra payments so I can get it paid off faster, I try to a certain extent. So we've talked the location, we've talked the price of the actual real estate, and we've talked about the price of inventory, new old stock, stay away from it, current stock. You got to know what the stuff is worth. And that might be getting somebody else that has a shop to come take a look. Offer them $100 to take a look and see what they think. And ask them to be totally honest, that you're not looking to have them give you a cheap number or a big number, an honest number. The owner may not agree with that. I might not agree with that because I know what I have pretty much in inventory. And I know what I paid for it. And if I were going to sell out today, there's no way I could realize getting what I have into it back. That I know. But a lot of older sellers of their businesses don't realize that. They think they ought to at least be able to get back what they put out. And it's not going to happen. It never happens. Because if you can't come to an agreement, the best thing to do is have an auction, right? And they'll come in and they'll sell it pennies on the dollar. So in the end, by the time the owner pays the auctioneer, everybody else, it might be better taking your offer on fair, below market, than going the auction route. If you don't want the inventory, then their best plan is to have an auction. Retaining the customer. Okay, we've talked about that before. If it's a business that has just a one-man band, even if you don't make anything, you're making money for the first 3 months, 6 months, year. Just the experience, the valuable experience that you're getting taught is a good chunk of money, especially if you don't have the background in it. And when I say don't have a background, I mean running retail and running a shop. Hopefully, if you're looking at a shop, you've been working on stuff nights and weekends, building up clientele of your own, and you've started to hone your customer service and the way you deal with customers and the way you deal with everybody else in general, because you're asking them for money, right? But I'm a big one of making your customer your friend. And not your friend that you bring their stuff in on the weekends and work on it for nothing. No. Nope, not even close. I mean, acquaintances, but you're still interested in, but you might see them once a year. Maybe twice, but usually once. So you've been holding all these skills, so you have a skill set coming in. And you've been listening to my videos for the past year, and keep a low inventory because stuff is being phased out quick. People are not fixing the cheap crap unless it's cheap to fix. I mean, we got a regular customer that called yesterday and said that her snowblower was acting up and it was making a grinding noise. And what could we do to fix it? And I said, well, we'd have to pick it up, see what's going on with it. She said, well, what do you think? I said, it sounds like the worst case scenario, you got a starter. More along the lines, you got the end chewed up on the end of your starter, where you engage the flywheel. I didn't tell her that way. I just told her the thing on the side that starts your thing is the end piece. Because she said, if this is going to cost a lot of money, then tell me and I'll just go buy a new one. I said, no, it's not going to cost you anywhere near what a new one would cost you. Let me get it picked up on Monday, and I will get it fixed and I will get it back, and you will be pleasantly surprised at what it costs to fix it. If you're thinking $1,000+. Wrapping this up, but I can give you an example of a number of years back that I had a young man show up on my doorstep and wanted to know if I would buy out all of his new old stock inventory. And it was in the tractor farm side of things, but his grandfather had started the business, and they had sold tractors and a bunch of other stuff there. And we used them quite a bit. Everything from our barn cleaners to tractor parts, And they did everything with 3x5 cards for inventory and pencils so they could erase and add, subtract when they had stuff coming in. Even to the day, the old man passed away and the son was working there repairing stuff out in the field as well as helping in the shop, right? And his wife was working at the business as well at the counter doing retail on the parts. But when they both passed away, it left the son all of this stuff. And when I say all this stuff, they were sitting on stuff that was 30, 40, 50 years old. And he came to me and he said, I talked with a few people around and you're the only one that might be able to help me. I said, well, what kind of help do you need? He said, I need you to give me $1 million for the inventory of the business. I want to keep the building and sell it, but you can have everything out of the building. What? I said, where'd you come up with that $1 million? Well, I was just doing it kind of off the top of my head, and this. I said, $1 million is a lot. Are they current parts, or is it stuff that your grandfather had in inventory? And he said, well, it's kind of a mixed bag. Well, see, I know the bulk of it was new old stock. Because once the online market developed, very few were buying it locally through retail businesses. You still had your old timers that didn't want to get online and stuff like that. But for the most part, people were buying stuff from me online for David Brown tractors instead of going to them. But I explained to him, I said, $1 million in inventory is a lot of inventory. And I know that most of your inventory there is new old stock. That is stuff that would be really hard to get rid of. And he was adamant. He said, I won't take anything less than $1 million. So I can't help you. And he actually ended up hiring a guy to start listing stuff on eBay. And they sold a few things. But I don't think they even made $5,000 towards thinning that down. That's what I mean. You have to know those things going in. Most people that have a larger inventory, most of it is new old stock. I'll be honest with you right now. And if you've been listening to me for the past year, I'm telling you, keep light on your feet and don't invest in a lot of stock other than oil filters, fuel filters, spark plugs, rope. Check one of the videos out that I put out on inventories that you should carry. It's nice to have the parts there all the time to fix everything, but it's not when you start looking at all your profits over the years as sitting in that inventory. Now it's not worth anything near what you paid for it. That's why I'm saying be careful. And Amos mentioned last week, you can kind of look at what stuff sold, how much stuff sold last year, and kind of gauge it this year. But you got to be careful because I've seen stuff be hot last year and, crickets this year. So if you end up ordering 100 widgets and now nobody wants those widgets, now you're stuck with 100 widgets and what to do with them, right? So on that note, I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to start getting showered and dressed. But this is a group participation. I expect you guys to add stuff. Let's have some fun with it. And look, this thing ain't working the greatest. So if you see something I said that's not correct, please correct me so that the people that are watching the videos know the correct answer. And if you want to add to what I have or share similar stories, please do. So on that note, again, thanks so much for allowing me to be part of what you guys are doing on a daily basis. It means a lot to me. So on that note, you guys have a great day.